Mistakes, we all make them. So, what is the first step in correcting a mistake? That first step is patience. And so, one of the things we can consider thinking about is what does it feel like when you make an error? Whether that error is, for example, when I'm making pie dough and I'm rolling out the dough and it gets a little bit too warm. And as I'm trying to cut out the circles for the tarts, I could feel my impatience growing. Why? I've been working the dough too much. It's getting too warm. I've made that error. Or whether the error is content errors, whether the error is misjudging an individual, whether the error is incompletion of a deliverable that had a deadline date. It doesn't really matter what the error is. What matters in our emotional intelligence is what does it feel like when you make that error? What does your impatience feel like? When you're feeling impatience, there will be pillars of emotions that support or contribute to that level of impatience. There'll be a surge in energy or a depletion in energy. And this is where you can start to define the nuances of the emotions underneath impatience. You might feel pissed off, useless, sloppy, annoyed, disheartened, frustrated. So many different emotions can contribute to when we make an error. And within those emotional experiences, we'll live a narrative, thinking, oh, this is a waste of my time. This is going to take forever. I can't be seen as incompetent. What are other people going to think? I don't have the skills to do what's necessary here. I'm not good enough. I'm not as good as Jill or Peter, who doesn't make these kinds of mistakes. I'm useless. I'm always wrong. I'm never right. There are so many skills within emotional intelligence that help us to navigate when we make errors and then help us to navigate the emotional experience. And the number one skill we need as a foundation in our emotional intelligence is our emotional self-awareness. We need to be able to be aware of the emotion we're experiencing, the subtle nuances that occur within our body that tell us our emotions are shifting. In this case, we notice a change in our energy. Oftentimes we'll notice a change in our breathing. And when we're capable of identifying the emotion and naming it and then understanding why we might be experiencing it, then we use our emotional expression skills to manage that emotion. And oftentimes in emotional expression, we're checking our thinking and our narrative. And we're doing something called evidence-based debating. Where's the proof that what I'm thinking is actually true? Am I useless? Am I always wrong? Am I never right? Can I not be seen as not having all the answers all the time? And as we do this evidence-based debate, we'll soon discover that the narrative is incorrect. And as the narrative becomes incorrect, then we handpick other emotional intelligence skills to use to get us back on track. We pick optimism, which means I remain and I'm willing to be hopeful that I can positively impact the outcome. We use flexibility. We shift our emotional state to one that is more useful and helpful for what the result is that we're intending to achieve. We turn on our problem solving skills because when we're emotional, it's very hard for us to be creative or innovative to find solutions. And we make sure that we use the skill of impulse control. Don't leap in our decision making. Don't grab onto something that is tempting to grab on for the short term in order to get rid of the emotions that are driving underneath. In essence, we want to make sure we don't let the emotion take the driver's seat and direct what we're about to do. We want the emotion to inform what we're going to do. And when the dust starts to clear, what you'll also notice is that we lean on our interpersonal relationships. So as I described earlier, the pie dough making scenario, that occurred for me heading into the holidays as I was making tarts. And I leaned on my relationships. I leaned on the people who are exceptionally skilled at making pie dough. It's something I do once, maybe twice per year. I'm not great at it. So I leaned on these people to ask them the questions that needed to be asked, and they provided me the information that I needed so that I could move forward and be successful. So you see, as we unravel these kinds of situations, these kinds of opportunities that we all experience, what we soon end up discovering is emotional intelligence becomes a foundation of our ability to execute on more than just managing our emotions. It becomes a foundation for us to do things like recover when we make an error, and not just for ourselves, but those other people that we might be leading, peers that we may be surrounding ourselves with. We begin to be a much stronger influence in our environment. And this kind of influence then impacts more than just ourselves. We have now a positive ripple impact on those around us.